Well, I have Duarte Cruz with me from Conceito and Carolina Cunha from EI, Assessoria Migratoria. What an exciting time this has been. We were talking with you, Duarte, just over a week ago when we were having the presidential address live, and you updated us, and it looked like that meant the end of the NHR on the 31st of December 2023. That was the information we were going on. And then suddenly a plot twist yesterday that you mentioned on our Dream Team session last night. And we're picking up from there to give people more information and to give them practical help and insight with what to do with this new information. So Duarte, thank you so much for being here. Carolina, thank you so much for being here. We have a presentation from Duarte now. Duarte, perhaps you could give us the basics. And I'm sure that's why you've created this presentation here for us now.
Of course. Good evening, everyone that's watching us. Good evening to you, Carl, and to Carolina as well. This is a joint work between Conceito and EI. So me and Carolina have been working on this presentation today, based on the information that we collected in the last couple of days. So, as you were mentioning, Carl, the NHR was bound to be terminated with effects from January 1st, 2024. And that's still going to happen. So let's start by accepting the general rule that the NHR, as it is, it's going to be over in January 1st. However, it was, like we all commented extensively, it was a rather unfair conclusion to the regime, without any transitory solution, without protecting people that had already committed somehow to moving to Portugal. And therefore, I think that the government was given feedback from enough sources that they decided to create a mitigation regime. And that's the mitigation regime that we are about to address now. It's still a proposal. It's still to be discussed in the next couple of weeks in the Parliament. But we have every reason to believe that if not this form, a very similar form will be actually approved by the government. So I'd like to start by telling that these are exceptional situations. The rule is still that the NHR will not be applicable from 2024. But there are, I would say, two groups of exceptions which are linked with two different dates. I'm going to address the first group, and then Carolina will address the other one. So I'm going to address the group that is linked with the 10th of October 2023.
Okay, just before you start with your presentation, let's hear from Carolina quickly. If you could let us know who you are, Carolina, and the role you play at EI, at A.
Hi, hello, Carl. How are you in this lovely Friday?
Well, I'm struggling to keep up with Portuguese politics, quite honestly. But that's the reason you two are very gifted and professional people are here to help us all make sense of this. So yeah, apart from that, great, and I'm glad to be having this conversation with you, such that we can share it with people and give them the information that they need with this latest development.
Yeah, we work our best to provide the newest, most updated information possible.
Yeah.
So I am Carolina Cunha. I am a migration consultant at EI, and currently we are working together with Duarte from Conceito to bring you this proposal from the government that, as Duarte said, it is still a proposal, but we want to provide all the information to our listeners so we can take the best decisions and informed.
Absolutely. And then there are two groups of people. You'll be dealing with, as Duarte said, with the second group, and here we have the information regarding the first group. So Duarte, if you could explain what's happening here with those people, and then we'll come back to you, Carolina, if we may, for the second group of people.
Of course. So as I was saying, the first relevant date is the 10th of October 2023. Why? Because this was the date of the first proposal by the government. Before all this political turmoil with the resignations, there was a first state budget introduced by the government to the parliament, and it was on 10th of October. So now that the government is taking a step back and trying to protect those people who were already committed to coming to Portugal in some form, they took this 10th of October as a relevant date to determine which people might be eligible for the NHR in 2024. So basically, we are saying that this group of people will be able to change tax residency in 2024 and apply to the NHR in 2024 with effects until 2033 if by the 10th of October they had a rental contract or equivalent, a rental contract in Portugal, of course, if they had a promissory agreement to buy a real estate property, or if they had a reservation to buy a real estate property, even though they might not have the promissory agreement in place, or if they had registered their children in an educational establishment in Portuguese territory. If any given person complies with any of these three possibilities, this person will be able to change tax residency next year and apply to the NHR next year. So basically, these people get an additional 12-month period, a transition period, because they were already committed before the government announced the end of the NHR. Okay. Of course, this is applicable to any member of the household of this applicant. So if one member of the household is complying with any of these possibilities, the rest of the household will obviously be included in the same situation.
Okay, this is great. So as you said, the NHR scheme will end as suggested by the end of this year, December the 31st. But it would appear, to make it fairer to people, there is an extension for the people who had put themselves in the right position, and these are being in the right position are the terms and conditions or situations you describe here as an ABC, and they now have not until the end of this year, but the end of next year to make their application.
Exactly, and that means that if people can manage to be tax residents by the end of 2023, they will still be NHR from 2023, of course.
Yes.
This is just an extension to a new universe of people that were likely not beating the deadline in 2023. I would just like to add a very quick note on the first paragraph on the rental contract, to say that it would be important that the rental contract is already registered with the tax authorities by October 10th as well. Why? Because a lot of people will try to go around the system. They will try to sign rental contracts now until the end of the year, backdate them to be entered into, to have a date prior to October 10th. Yeah. And then the tax authorities might not think that's so funny, and they might not ultimately accept the change of tax residency based on a rental contract that had not been registered with the tax authorities by October 10th.
Right. Yep. Totally understand that and see the logic of that. And as you said before, to reiterate, this is a proposal. And if it goes through, is this what will be voted on the other key date, the 29th of November, when we'll know for sure that this is the case?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. So it's proposal at the moment, and it would appear quite a good one for those who thought they'd missed the opportunity, but now have another year in which to make their application. However, Carolina, this is probably where you come in. Nobody should wait. They should proceed as though it was ending for the end of this year. And you're going to talk to us about other people who this might apply to, this extension might apply to as well. So over to you, Carolina.
Yes, Carl. So the second important date is December 31st, which is up on the screen now, the new slide. And it brings as well three options for this new dates. So the first one is an employment contract or a promissory employment contract or displacement agreement. Only work performed in Portugal, so physically in Portugal. This is what this means for letter A, sorry. B, residency visa, and residence permit. This one we were already seeing happening, but now it's on the proposal on a for sure thing to continue, while up until now it was like a trial and error. Let's see if it goes, let's see if it doesn't. As it's written here, if this goes through, it will be a for sure thing. But again, it isn't until the 29th. We don't know yet. It's always a trial something. Then last option, initiated the process for a residency visa or residency permit with the competent authority. Well, it's here that we see the big window opening. Initiated process is a very big term. We can fit in here a lot of things, but we need to keep in mind that needs to be within the competent authorities. So what does this mean? CEF, EMA, consulates, VFS, depending on each country. So I would still need to assess each person situation one by one, to sit down with them and check where do they live, where would they apply, and get proof that they are trying to get an appointment or something like that. But this needs to be before the end of the year, so until December 31st. If this goes through, we have here the opportunity to fit most people that would be left out. So we need to take advantage of this and be with our eyes opened to see if on the 29th this opportunity actually takes place and goes through. And lastly, just like Duarte said on the previous slide, any of these options, if they are applicable to one of the members on a household, they will be extended to the other ones. So let's just a practical example. If the mother of a family fulfills one of these criteria, the full family also fulfills the criteria.
Very good. Okay, good to know. And just to clarify a further point here, for those people who had really taken this deadline of the 31st of December 2023 seriously as being the end, and they didn't know about this possible extension here, they shouldn't slow down. They should carry on applying with the same sort of speed and application as they were before. And you're obviously working with people like that. And then the people who might have given up thinking I'll never be able to do it by the end of the year, they have this new possibility. And that's so if they feel they are in that bracket, in that group of people, what's the thing they need to do to get in touch? You know, how do they make it happen, basically?
Yeah, please contact us at EI via email so we can already get started. So if on the 29th this goes through, the person knows they can act on the following day to get the actual appointment or so, because a few countries or a few cities on the same country are very difficult and different to get an appointment. Let's say for Boston is pretty easy. For San Francisco, it isn't. So we need to actually establish where do they need to apply and teach them how to do it, or we do that dependent on the cases. And if this goes ahead, we on the following day of its approval, we could actually get it booked, or even prior, because there's nothing really to lose. We could just book it just in case.
Okay, yeah, very good. So get in touch, make contact, initiate the process if you think this new situation might give you a chance to get the NHR where you might have already given up. And if you're already in the process, don't slow down. There's no reason to be slowing down as a result of this possible change, which will be voted upon, as we've heard tonight, on the 29th of November. And that will be an all-important date, of course. Is there anything else? Let's go back to Duarte. Is there anything else that we should be telling people at this stage before you go off and enjoy your weekend? I know you both have had very busy weeks, and I'm sure you're looking forward to a weekend off. That's if you're not working. But
Yeah. I think there's something else I would like to comment on this last piece of information that Carolina gave. So this paragraph C initiated the process for a residency visa or a residency permit until the end of December 2024. Now, this is a tricky one. And I think that ultimately we might have yet another plot twist here, but because all the other measures that we have been addressing here are, we can understand why they exist. We can understand that they exist in order to protect people that already created a reasonable interest in moving to Portugal. This one, in this case, it's not so clear. It's not so clear that these people had an interest as of October 10th. So what I'm saying is that there will be people to which the government is giving one additional month, which means one additional year for the NHR. So if for instance, I have not initiated any process as of today, I can still do it until the end of the year. And if I am able to do that, I'm basically getting an additional 12-month period because I am from outside of the European Union.
okay.
If I am a citizen of the European Union or the Schengen space, I would not need to initiate any process for a residency visa or a residency permit. And yet I am not able until the end of the year to show the tax authorities that I also have a reasonable interest in moving to Portugal in 2024. So what I'm saying is that this might be understood as negatively discriminating people from the European Union. And if that's the case, I think it's likely to assume that the president will look at this. It's possible to interpret that the president will not like this. And ultimately, because the government or the president is in such a hurry to get the state budget approved, I don't know whether the final solution will be, let's just extend the NHR for everyone in 2024 and call it a day.
Wow. Okay. Well, that will be interesting, won't it? And again, we won't know that, will we, until the key date of the 29th of November. And also,
I don't even think it's going to be the 29th. So on the 29th, we will know for sure if this is the proposal.
Yeah.
And it will be voted. But then the scrutiny of the president happens after the approval. So maybe in between the 29th of November and the end of the year, we might still have another plot twist.
Okay, and the scenario you just described will become apparent to everybody, and then he'll have to act in some way, so it's not prejudicial in the way you've described. Wow, fascinating. Okay, so that's a bit of light for people who thought they were missing out on the NHR, who are within EU, Schengen, etc. Thank you for that additional information there, Duarte. And of course, if you are confused about any of this, which we understand people can be, this is a very complex situation and the goalposts are moving. Obvious thing to do is to get in touch with Duarte or Carolina. Anything else from you, Carolina, that's occurred to you that we need to share with people before we finish?
Well, I would like to say that there's still time. We can still prepare. We can still do something. If people are in a limbo situation, I highly recommend that they speak with an expert, so that they can rest their mind and at least know they made an informed decision, because informed decision is like the basis of life. So if you're not on that boat, where are you? So that's my take on that. And of course, Portugal is the same place as it was with or without NHR. So people that were thinking about moving prior, some of them didn't even know the NHR existed until now. And for some others, this is like completely mind-changing. So I also ask that you take a deep breath and decide where do you stand. And Portugal is still on the same place, so we are still the same country, the same everything.
Yeah, well, that's right. And we had it explained to us last night, didn't we, as a metaphor, that it's the icing on the cake. It's the NHR is the icing on the cake. And if the icing doesn't happen for you, you still have a very good cake to come to and to enjoy here in Portugal. So thank you to Roman from the Dream Team last night for making that point. I was going to ask you, yeah, how do people get in touch? Those are the details on the screen. I'll make sure they're in the video description as well. Just one more question. Which one of you is which in the illustration that we're seeing in the video in the top right hand corner of the screen?
I'm sitting down because I'm older.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you
Okay.
so much.
I can be Dwight. I don't mind.
Thank you both for being here this evening with that excellent information, and thank you for responding so quickly. You told us last night this was happening. We're having this interview, making the recording tonight with you after a very busy day on a Friday here at work for you both. So thank you both so much. Those are the details if you want to get in touch. Gerald at migrate.pt and Duarte.Cruz at Conceito.pt. And as I said, I'll make sure they're in the video description as well. Enjoy your weekend. Bom fim de semana.
Bom fim de semana. Bye bye, Carl.